ENC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This is your 5 o'clock drive with Patrick Johnson.
Holy mackerel!
More news, more interviews, more ECU stories than you can shake a stick at. Hey, stop shaking that stick. This is the Patrick Johnson Show.
Pirates win! Pirates win!
On 94.3 The Game.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome, PJ Show on this Wednesday, midweek. All downhill from here on a shortened holiday week. We've got Rose Rampant Legend, the birthday boy himself, Ronald Vincent, coming up in a few minutes. He joined us on the Patrick Johnson Show, and so we're going to bring you that coming up. He also was on with Henry today on Talk of the Town. So if you want to relive that interview, you can do so by going to the IBX Media app, free for download on Google Play and the App Store. In fact, here is the IBX Media app for those of you on the video audience now, the vast video audience, and you see what's pulled up there, the screen where you can go and take a look at all the various things, listen live, watch live, listen to talk podcasts, music podcasts, ECU Sports Network, go to our websites, go to our social media. You can nominate folks for various contests that the company puts on. Hoist the Colors is on here. IBX Creative Concert on the Common information is on here, et al. So there you go. We say hello to Philip the Ref Pilkington. He'll be with us here today, as he always is. Also on the big shoe today is the one and only Brian Mull, scheduled to be with us. It's always subject to change. They would always put on the boxing cards or the posters for the pro wrestling, cards subject to change. That's what we always do with Mull during certain times of the years. Card subject to change. We don't know where in the world is Brian Mull, our own Carmen Sandiego, as it were. So, but it'll be good to talk some golf with Brian. We've not done that in a little bit, so it'd be nice to do that. Pilk, how are you? Good day today. Everything so far so good.
Yeah, it's been a good day. Here we've made it to just after 5 o'clock, and everything's going pretty good so far. So maybe your Carolina Hurricanes get a win tonight, Patrick.
They're not mine. Your Carolina Hurricanes it'll be over tonight. I was on the Next Up show on 99.9 The Fan earlier this morning with Paul and Graham. And we were talking a little bit before I went on with my award-winning segment there. And we were talking about the ECU, which I was on to talk about the ECU baseball team and how kind of unexpected all of this was. And, I was like, but I'm really glad it happened because it's given us kind of a new thing. We're used to talking about ECU baseball this time of year, but in a way it feels almost kind of new and fresh talking about it because this was so unexpected. And usually if you get an unexpected team that wins the tournament and gets in to the NCAA in some form, you think, okay, well, it might be a one and done kind of deal. I'm thinking, basketball and that sort of deal. But, with the Pirates, if they put it together like they did in Clearwater, you never know. I think they will be pesky in Conway. But, boy, those Conway Regional, I still think is going to be awfully tough. I think it's one of the more awfully tougher ones, personally. I'm looking at a few things here. I need to mention before we have you elaborate on that, Pilk. I've got to mention the sponsors thus far for our Rose versus North Lincoln coverage, which, again, will be taking place at 5 o'clock Friday and 11 a.m. Saturday. Those are the guaranteed games. Croft Massey, Nate Logan. And do know that the Saturday game will be moved to WTIB if ECU loses game one, and they end up playing at noon on Saturday. But the coverage is brought to you by the Gavigan Agency, First Bank, the law firm of Hardy, Massey, and Blodgett, Caraway Office Solutions, Wells Fargo Advisors in Greenville, the Tire Realty Company, Greenville Awning and Canopy, and Pitt County Schools. And you can contact Hank Hinton, Hank at IBXmedia.com if you want to get on board and help sponsor the Rampants as they go for an eighth state title all time. It's RV's birthday today, too, by the way, Pill. Did you know that? Did you read about this? Did you hear about this?
You guys mentioned it on Talk of the Town this morning, I think. Or he mentioned it on Talk of the Town this morning.
Yeah, so when we talk to RV here in a few minutes, we'll wish him the birthday. But RV says we're playing on my birthday. It's a good thing. So very exciting. There was some confusion and we're going to have the DH Conley coach Wayne Deans for softball on tomorrow. There was some confusion as to when the game was going to be played because the actual association website had listed 8 o'clock Friday from Duke, but they're going to play at 6 at Duke on Friday. So they'll be playing at the Duke softball stadium there in Durham, which is a great little facility. And it will be a 6 o'clock first pitch on Friday. 2 o'clock Saturday is the guarantee game. And then, it says if the if game is needed 8 o'clock, but if there's a way to play, if there's an if game and the other series is wrapped up, they'll turn around and play right after that. So I can tell you, I've been really lucky the last few years, Pilk. Really lucky the last few years calling games for the NFHS that we haven't. And I don't think I've ever gotten one of I think maybe one time we got the full Monty day. I don't even know if we got in. I'm never good with memories on these things because I'm not wired like that. But when we had the COVID year in 21 and they ended up playing the games like in late June, like a week before July 4th for the baseball champ, my guy, Randy Capps, and I did it for the NFHS network from Burlington. I had to walk on that roof of that grandstand. Terrible. I think we had 4 games that day. That was the year that Rose won it, and they had the rain at the community college. They had to finish it at a high school field Sunday. Do you remember that? I think it might have also been a little before your time. I don't know, but I do think either the game went, the series maxed out for the games I did on TV, or we had rain. I think that I'm sitting here thinking back on it now.
I'm trying to remember if it
I
just
think it's
rained
the rain
Friday
delay.
night and they played game 1 and game 2 Saturday, maybe.
No, because Rose ended up finishing on Sunday.
Okay, so I think that's what it was.
Because they played at Fayetteville Tech, and the Fayetteville Tech people told them they had all the necessary items to finish the series. And they had a tarp they put on the field, but the tarp had holes in it. And so putting a piece of Swiss cheese down to fend off rain from the infield does not work. And they tried to scramble and find a place to play it, but they just couldn't. Like, I think they looked at Fayetteville State, and that didn't work because Fayetteville State wasn't planning on it. So they, hadn't prepped their field, and it rained a lot in Fayetteville. Hopefully the weather will work out. I know there's a lot of rain today and in the forecast tomorrow. Hopefully it'll work out. Now, I do know this. The Tings got wall-to-wall carpet. They got turf all the way. So as long as there's no lightning, they'll probably be able to play. Or gully washer, or frog strangler, as it was. But I'm looking forward to this weekend. Lind Hartzell, the great Lind Hartzell, will be with me in the booth for television since Mully's moved over to the big time for the regional. Pilk, any news or notes that we need to concern ourselves with today? The Pacers go up 3-1. I'm surprised Edmonton's up in that series. Everybody was picking the Stars. But here we are with the Oilers.
Everybody was picking the Stars because the Stars have been so dominant at home. Coming into this, they had only lost 1 home game. And in this postseason, you had to go all the way back to game 1 of the first round. And with them dropping game 2 at home, a couple games ago, that really put them behind the 8 ball. I think a lot of people had this series going 7 and the home team's going 7-0. So considering the outcome of game 2, I wouldn't say that I'm shocked that we're at a 3-1 Edmonton lead right now. Just a little shocked that Dallas played so poorly at home in game 2, a team that really is probably the best home, playoff team in all of the NHL.
Your Colorado Rockies, I saw a note,
Eesh.
are on pace to finish 74 games out of first.
Did you see that they also broke a record last night? They lost their 21st consecutive series MLB record because your Cubbies knocked them off in 11.
There you go. Oh, in 11. Okay. The Cubbies, by the way, have the best odds right now to win, for what that's worth, to win the World Series. We haven't even had June yet. Yeah, that's what I saw. I read this morning is that the Cubs have the best. as it evolves during the course of the season, they have the best. They have the best odds right now to win the whole stinking thing. A
Well,
lot of baseball to be played, though. We haven't even gotten
there
to the
is.
part where you have the June swoon. So,
True, but what's nice about the Cubs, man, you guys are playing pretty well in tight games. And right now, that's so much of what I think defines baseball at this point because a lot of teams are, I wouldn't say evenly matched, but I think there's less of a discrepancy with the exception of
yeah, there's
the
not.
Rockies.
Yeah,
The other 28 teams, probably other than them and the White Sox, there's only so much a fraction of difference. And like Boston right now, man, they're 6-14 in one-run games, and they've lost a few games in extras by
played a
more
lot
than
of tight
one run.
games. Yeah,
That, like for example, last night they lost on a walk-off grand slam. If that's a single, that counts as a one-run game. It's still a loss. So just not winning tight games, and then the Rockies actually, as bad as they've been getting their butt handed to them the last month. But at the beginning of the season, it was a lot of one-run games that they kept losing. So, but hey,
Yeah.
shout out to Agnos last night, 10th inning, 8 pitches, shut down the Cubs. Didn't bring him back out for the 11th. Mistake there, Mr. Whoever their manager
Mistake.
is now. No, it's not
Mistake,
Bud
new
Black. They
manager.
fired him.
Poor Bud Black. Sent him packing. All right. The great legendary Ronald Vincent will be with us coming up in our next segment. We're going to talk about Rose and North Lincoln in the state championship series. 10th time that the Rose Rapids have gotten there in the storied coaching career of the legendary RV, Ronald Vincent. The Hall of Famer will join us when we come back on the Patrick Johnson Show. You're on 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and free for download, the IBX Media app. Not every day that you get a Hall of Famer on your airwaves, and we've got one for you today. The legendary Ronald Vincent, RV, coach of the baseball Rapids, as they will be playing in the state championship series for the 10th time. Rose with 7 state championships, over 1,000 wins in the Rose program under the guidance of our dear friend, Ronald Vincent, back with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. RV, congratulations. Great to have you on.
Well, thank you. It's good to be on. It's good to be still being interviewed this late in the year. It's a big, good deal. We're heading to the state championship again. It's so difficult to get there. It's playing baseball in this single elimination baseball tournament. It's so difficult. So we're happy to be here.
And happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yep. That's one of the things I tell the players early in the year that or in 1st of May when we start the playoffs. If we're playing on my birthday, we've had a good year.
It's interesting. You look back at your losses. One of them was in extras, and then the other 3 were 10-run rule games, including most recently against the team you defeated to get there to this championship series, Terry Sanford. So when you left Fayetteville last Thursday, knowing that you were going to be back at Guy Smith, how are you feeling about your team going into that game last Friday that was for the chance to advance on?
Yeah, we really wanted it, if we could do anything to get the thing righted. But, we talked to him about some of the things that happened because T.C. Roberson in the first round got beat by Cuthbertson 13-0. And then they won the second and third games. So, we talked about that. Baseball is not like other sports. Baseball, where you're starting off 0-0, and everything you do today has no effect on tomorrow. And baseball is like that. That's one of the things we really talked about. Hey, look, we just got to move on to the next day. And fortunately, we got good pitching and got some clutch hitting, and here we are.
You guys have played pretty good defense. You've hit it well most of the year. But it took a little stretch in April for the Rapids to kind of figure out their pitching.
Yeah, like I said, we played a lot, and then we had a long break in there in the middle of the season that really we were playing really good, and then we had about a 9 or 10-day break, and it took us a while to come back after that. And then we got around Easter, we played 7 games in 9 days, and we had to find pitching, and that's when the guys came up, and this is when the guys a lot of them figured it out, and got some really good pitch games right in the stretch there, and it's carried us on into the playoffs because we, other than down at Terry Sanford last Thursday, we have pitched very good recently. So.
The birthday boy, the legendary RV, Ronald Vincent, National Hall of Famer, joins us here, the all-time winningest coach in North Carolina, on the Patrick Johnson Show. Josh Robertson has been very special for you this year, the junior. He's played all over the field. He's pitched for you and has really emerged on the mound as a very reliable option for you.
Yes, he has. And the last 2 or 3 times he's been out there, he's been very strong. And, you know, he's gotten his fastball velocity's picked up, and he's throwing strikes. And so you know, he's really pitched well. He pitched two times against Terry Sanford, and Friday night he was really good. He got the last 12 in a row out, I think, Friday night. So that's a huge deal. So I really, you know, Josh is like you said, he plays all over the field, and they bat second in the batting order. So we feel he's got to do it one more time this year.
At least, right?
Yeah, at least one more time. Yeah.
Parker Watson, as we're speaking to RV, plays infield for you for Rose, and he's had a very special season for you as well, and has been a real table setter.
Yeah, he pretty much carried us the first part of May, and he's hit a lot of home runs, gotten a lot of big clutch hits, doubles to right center and base hits, and he's kind of quiet and stuff. He just stays calm. His biggest thing, he doesn't get too far one way or too far the other way. He just stays right calm, and man, he has really hit the ball good. So I hope he's got one more weekend in him. I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully all the Rapids do. We'll have the games for you coming up this weekend on 94.3 The Game Friday night at 5 o'clock from Ting Stadium in Holly Springs. Croft Massey and Nate Logan will have the radio call for you. RV, I'm going to have to be as neutral as possible since I'll be on the NFHS network stream with our good friend Lynn Hartzell. But, you know, deep down, I'll be pulling for you in the Rampants. So just that's our secret. We're not going to tell anybody that.
Well, it's in your blood. You've been part of it, Rose Athletics, for a good while now. You know, back when you were doing the play-by-play and all that stuff, and so you've been part of it for a long time. You got to be a Rampant by now.
Yeah, I know. By the time or when you go back prior to you winning your most recent championship. I think I called, if not one of the last few, I called on radio one time with Mike Steele, and boy, you talk about my back hurting. No, I'm kidding. It was fun though. Coach Steele was fired up. That was a great team winning at Five County Stadium. Boy, you just look back, 7 state championships, a great opportunity for an 8th this weekend. And I think you said it very, very well, RV, earlier today when you were on with Henry on Talk of the Town. This is an old hat. I mean, these are difficult to get to, these games, or these series.
It really are. You know, baseball, single elimination baseball. And like, you know, Kylie, you can play better than the other team and still lose. You know, you just, ball goes right at them, ball bounces wrong. It's just crazy things that can happen. And, it's tough. So it's hard to get here. It's hard to get to the state championship, but we're going to enjoy every bit of it this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. As you should. It's a pretty remarkable run of success you've had. What about this year's team has, you know, kind of put them in the pantheon with 9 other teams that have made the final round and have had a chance to, in the case of 7 of them, ultimately win the state championship, but in the case of 2 others, play in the state championship series? What are the qualities you feel like that this team shares with some of those teams, or maybe exceeds at?
Well, this team, you know, other than play good defense, we hit the ball good most of the time, but this team works hard every day. Those guys come to practice every day, trying to get better. And it's not only, we've got a lot of heroes on this team, and some of them don't play. They're in the dugout pulling for each other, helping each other, and doing this and doing that. We've got everybody's buying in. Everybody wants to. It's no individuals on this team. Everybody's buying in, and everybody wants to be there. And that's such a big deal. When everybody comes together, it's hard to beat you.
Ronald Vincent, the legendary RV, with us here. And the Rampants will be taking on North Lincoln coming up on Friday at 5 o'clock from Ting Ballpark in Holly Springs. Great park there. Rampants, of course, play at Guy Smith. And when we talk about Greenville and the baseball culture, Rose and Guy Smith are a couple big parts of that, undoubtedly. Hey, can't talk to you on a special day for you and a special week for the program and Pitt County Athletics without mentioning our someone that was very dear to us all, but certainly to you, and that's the great Marvin Jarman. First time that you're going to one of these championship series without Marvin there, although there in spirit and there with the jersey and all of that. But boy, you think I'll see something there. Memory pops in your head. I'll automatically go to Marvin. It's pretty special to remember, and I have just a mere fraction of the memories with Marvin that you have.
Yeah, and we everybody knows it. We say it, but God, we miss that guy. Everybody in the program miss that guy, and I'm gonna probably be lost because he's the one who kept me squared away. You need to be over here now. You need to be over
here.
Right.
And
but he would be up there, and he'd love to be up there because he saw people from everywhere, and it was it's going to be a struggle to go through it without Marvin. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. Everybody is on the same page as you are.
What's wild, and I'm sure you get this too. If you go to different parts of the state, particularly out west, or even different parts of the country, and you mention Eastern North Carolina or where you're from or Greenville, there is a pretty high likelihood somewhere in the top 2 or 3 things that this person's going to mention to you, particularly in North Carolina. Actually, it's probably the number one thing in North Carolina. They'll say Marvin Jarman before they say anything else, before they say East Carolina, before they say barbecue, before they say this, before they say that, they say Marvin. It's pretty crazy.
And, these kids that come back 8 or 10 years later after graduating or whatever, and that's the first thing they ask: how's Marvin? What's Marvin up to?
Yeah,
miss Marvin. So it's a legacy. He was something special, and we really miss him, don't we?
Yeah, sure do. Marvin was. Tell you this: nobody got more steps in. Everybody was worried about their steps with those watches nowadays. Marvin didn't need one. He got more steps in than anybody. So.
Yeah, he did, and
RV,
somewhere he wasn't scared to walk.
No, he would walk anywhere. Didn't matter the weather, whether it was rainy like today or whatever. Marvin would go. RV, let's. The basketball thing was amazing too. That he never missed a basket. He deserved a medal for watching a lot of somewhat questionable basketball over the years. And anyway, let's bring it back to baseball here as we get ready for the state championship series. Again, we'll have the game 4:45 airtime, thereabouts, 4:50, somewhere in there. Croft Massey, Nate Logan, another one of your former players, will be on the call. Now, they'll do a great job. They'll have a lot of fun up there this week. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. Hey, give me an idea of what it would take for the Rampants to bring home another state title.
The first thing we can't strike out bunches of times against this left-handed pitcher. We got to put the ball in play. We got to make things happen, and then we've got to throw strike.
Well,
and
it sounds
you hear that all the time.
It sounds simple, but you said it today too. I thought this was interesting. A lot of these young men have played just growing up big time baseball.
Yep.
City championships or all stars or little league. I mean, a lot of these kids have played big time. So they're not saying there won't be butterflies, but I would be highly surprised if anybody's overwhelmed by this stage, and that's no disrespect to the stage because it's such a big one. But these kids have played in a lot of big environments throughout their lifetime so far.
These guys have played in a lot of big games in their life. Little League playoffs, Little League state championship. A good core of this group, 4 or 5 of these boys, played in the Babe Ruth World Series that we won. The only World Series Greenville's ever won. One of the few North Carolina's ever won. Babe Ruth World Series. 5 or 6 of these guys played in that. Played Babe Ruth All Stars in that, and that's about as high as they can go in Babe Ruth. Well, it is as high as they can go in Babe Ruth. So these guys have played big games, and it could be a factor. It might not be a factor, but at least they know they can pull this off. So feel good about it.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for your friendship, but also thank you for being on here today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend in Holly Springs. And best of luck. Enjoy the rest of your day on your birthday and the rest of the way. What better way to spend it? Practicing for a right to play in the state championship. No better way to spend your birthday. So
that's right. And he's playing on my birthday, so that's a good thing.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, RV, thanks. Good luck to the Rampants.
Thank you, Patrick. See you later.
There he is, the great Ronald Vincent. Awesome to have him on. Pilk, one of our favorite people. I mean, just you talk about RV, and man, he is what success and doing success the right way is all about.
Oh, I agree. Everybody I've ever talked to who's played for him, obviously, I know him at a personal level as well as a professional level. I've never played for him, but everybody's played for him, worked with him, always has great things to say. And I enjoy the Friday nights, and I get to chit-chat with him a little bit. But my favorite RV time is always when he rides his bike over to our pregame show and hangs out before football games. And, he's always there running around amongst the tailgaters, and usually he comes by before we go on air, and we've got plenty of time to kind of just chat him up and see how he's doing. And obviously he is very much a man of the people, and the only problem is Scooter beats his door down all the time. You got to wear some ECU stuff, RV. He's always got the Rose hat on.
He's a rampant through and through.
He is.
Undoubtedly. He is a rampant through and through. I hope they win, and looking forward to Croft and Nate's coverage this weekend. All right, we'll have Brian Mull coming up in a bit. Right now, let's say hello to Philip. He'll give you an update on things going on in the world, including some other rampant sports late in the postseason. Here's the one and only Philip the Ref Pilkington with a 94.3 The Game Sports Flash update and Pirate Report. Take it away, Pilk.
Thank you, P-Man. We'll just go ahead and start with the Rampants. The J.H. Rose girls lacrosse team will be at home in the state tournament at 5:30, so they're going to be getting started here in a few minutes. They will be hosting Union Pines. The Lady Rampants are 17-2 currently. This will be the state semifinals. They are coming off a 9-7 win over Swansboro in the quarterfinals. The baseball regional in Conway will be getting going at noon on Friday when the Pirates will take on the Florida Gators, and outfielder Riley Johnson says this team just has to keep believing in themselves.
You just got to keep believing. When you believe, and you got all the guys in the clubhouse constantly saying, we believe, we believe, we believe, eventually they'll start believing. And that's exactly what happened in the conference tournament. We started believing, things started clicking, and we are one group, we are one family, and it showed this weekend.
Last night, Zach Agnos threw a scoreless inning against the Chicago Cubs in the 10th inning of what ended up being a 4-3 loss for the Rockies in the 11th. The Rockies have now lost 21 consecutive series, making that a new Major League Baseball record. The Hurricanes will be back in action tonight at home inside the Lenovo Center at 8 o'clock as they try and fend off elimination, taking on the Florida Panthers. And the Oklahoma City Thunder will look to close out Game 5 at home tonight, or close out that series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. That game will begin at 8:30. Thunder lead that series 3-1. That'll do it for 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to talk a little PGA Tour with Brian Mull on the other side of this timeout.
And now, the stunning conclusion.
Why is everyone screaming?
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, wrapping up the PJ show on this Wednesday, and one of our favorites is back. He lives, Brian Mull, golf writer at large at BG Mull on X, joins us here. Took his daughters to a concert last night there at that gorgeous amphitheater in Wilmington. Boy, Wilmington's got it going on. All right, so great to have Brian back on the program with us here. There's a lot of places to start, my friend. We could start with the memorial. We could start with some of the changes that have been announced by the tour and how they're going to do things. But I want to start with kind of an obscure article that was put out, of all places, by Tennis World yesterday. And Liv has made a bit of a new, I guess, rules on how they're going to pay out things now. They're not going to put as much big money up front. And I was in this article, and again, I'm going with this. Now, the Tennis World is quoting Eamon Lynch from Golf Week, talking about that there's been agreed to stop paying up front. This will cause some controversy, etc. But, like, Dustin Johnson's contract with Liv expires after this year. Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau's contracts expire after 2026. So that's kind of interesting to me, because I think we all thought when these contracts were signed, they were, I don't want to say infinite, but it seemed like they had such a huge term on them. So that even makes the Liv money that much more outrageous, that they got that amount of money for such a short term. Should we read anything into that? Is that just a kind of an interesting twisted turn? Do you see these guys going away, or do you see them re-signing with Liv because they've already made a boatload of money? How do you see that playing out? That's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I agree. A bit surprising as well when I saw that information. It's in the big picture, it's not good for Liv because, while they've attracted some nice players, I think, no different than the PGA Tour, they're relying on 4 or 5 stars to carry the mail, if you will. And at the top of that list are Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, and then others who they had hoped would be right there with them, such as Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Not so much. And Koepka's gone from being just a major championship threat and killer and contender and 5-time winner to irrelevant in the last half dozen majors. And Dustin Johnson is on a jet on Friday, not even really been competitive on Liv or in the bigger events. So you're looking at a situation where it could be Jon Rahm and a bunch of 47-year-olds, is 49-year-olds, 52-year-olds. It's kind of the way that it's headed, because I just don't think with the way that the PGA Tour is guaranteeing spots for these top college players and allowing them to remain in college and hold on to that spot, not forcing them to come out earlier than they might want to. They've really set themselves up in a good position to continue to mine the hot young talent, and that's what Liv was going to, or any competition would have to do to make itself a viable, threat, a real rival. So yeah, it's troubling news for Liv any way you slice it, and I would think Bryson is highly likely we'll see Bryson playing on the PGA Tour in what would that be, 2027, and certainly still, most likely very much in his prime and a top 5 player in the world. So not the best news for Liv, whose ratings are lagging drastically behind the tour in America still, even though with the Fox Sports deal. And, a little bit surprising as well. It goes to show, all that money up front doesn't necessarily lead to good production on the course.
Liv has yet to confirm this report, by the way. So this is, again, what's being reported out there. We'll see how it all shakes out. I just found it interesting. So,
sure.
Starting strokes will be removed at the Tour Championship. for the season-ending Tour Championship. Since 2019, the format allowed the player with the most FedEx Cup points to start the tournament at 10 under par. But in a change to this year's event, all 30 players will tee off at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta on level par. The FedEx is a season-long points competition, which culminates with the playoffs, 3 tournaments that end with the championship. Yeah, and the way they would do this, the second player would start a couple behind, third player would start 7 under, et cetera, through the top 5. Scotty Scheffler finished 4 strokes ahead of Colin Morikawa last year, who finished second. Scheffler called the FedEx Cup playoff format last year, quote, silly.
Great word. I mean, it's really hard to take it seriously. And it was a shame that here you go. I mean, it would be like the number 1 seed in football starting the Super Bowl on their opponent's 30-yard line. Just give them the ball on the opponent's 30. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's not true competition. If you've earned a right into that field, you should have an opportunity to win the golf tournament and the Tour Championship. I mean, there was basically what was kind of jokingly called the net championship and the gross championship, like you would have at the average member guest. Just a mockery, really, of what should be a marquee event in the world of golf. So while I don't think this is the best format, I do think it's a good format. I've always felt like that, and they hate match play, and I get it, but that would be where maybe you give a bye to the top 4 guys or the top 8 guys, and that's their reward for a good regular season, and then put them into with a 32-man field or something. I just think that would be a little more exciting. But TV's scared to death of match play because they might get Alex Noren versus Robert McIntyre in the finals, and everybody go mow their yard or something. But it's tricky in golf. We've had these 4 majors for a very long time, and trying to just create these other events and telling people they should be excited about them. And certainly not the money now with the amount of money that's in the sport. My other idea has always been they should put all the money in a big, clear box and put it on the first tee and have a guy drive it around, with a gun. Probably need a couple of those, but just have them see the money, the 10 million, the 20 million, whatever it is that they're playing for.
Well, I do have one question about this that I want you guys to confirm.
I love that idea.
So they're doing this, but everybody will officially start on a level playing field during the Tour Championship. It won't be like it used to be where you technically all start even par, but this guy's got more points than this guy. So this guy might win the FedEx Cup playoffs, but he might be the 6th group from the end, and no one knows that this putt he hit on 18 just won him the FedEx Cup Championship. We're not going back to that, correct? Because that did happen.
I don't think so. I think if you win the tournament, you'll win the FedEx Cup.
Okay, so everybody's just starting. It's a top 20, try and get there, and once you get there, like you said, it's like the Super Bowl.
I think so.
Yeah, in a sense.
I'm pretty sure.
The best performer over the course of 4 rounds at the Tour Championship will win the FedEx Cup.
Okay.
So you got to be the best guy that weekend.
So they're implementing it like NASCAR, pretty much.
Yeah, kind of like
NASCAR. The problem really
NASCAR.
came to a head when Tiger won in 2018, before he won the Masters in 2019. He won the golf tournament, which was his first win in a very long time.
And that's all anybody cared about.
But Justin Rose was making a 6-footer to win the big bag of money, and nobody cared. Yeah. So they did. I mean, that was not a great situation.
Justin Rose's wife and his accountant cared, and his attorney and his manager cared, but nobody else on the planet cared that Justin Rose, who's a little bit of a snooze fest, actually a lot of a snooze fest. It still blows my mind Rose never went to live. It almost seems like a tailor-made situation for him. Well, that's
I respect him for not going to live, and that Sunday allowed him to not go, and therefore he's still relevant because he's out there competing against these 25-year-old bombers and having to find a way to maximize what he's got at 45. So I have to give. He stayed competitively sharp by staying on the PGA Tour.
Oh no, he has. Yeah, he has. Okay. I hear what you're saying, but why has DeChambeau been able to be so competitive?
Because he's a generational talent and driven and lifestyle wise, he doesn't have the off the course lifestyle that Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka have down there.
That's true.
He's not married, he doesn't have children, and he doesn't have some of the vices that the entertainment. Bryson's a pretty singularly focused on golf kind of guy, and I think he thinks about it before he goes to bed and when he wakes up, and probably dreams about it too. And Dustin Johnson at this point in his career, I know from some insiders who work down there at the Grove, where Justin Thomas and Fowler and Dustin Johnson are all members, Michael Jordan's place. They said they haven't seen him in months. Haven't even been out there with his kids for 9 holes late in the afternoon. He's just literally not playing golf except when he has to.
Interesting. The great Brian Mull at BG Mull on X joining us here. So, Brian, Scotty Scheffler wins the PGA Championship, his third major. Scotty, I think, has, for all of the Rory conversation, I don't think there's any doubt who the best player in the world right this very second is. Do you agree that it's Scotty Scheffler?
I do, and I thought it was important and manifested in his reaction, which was a bit more than we're used to seeing from Scotty Scheffler there on the 18th green, especially with such a wide margin of victory. But I think that a lot of people talking about Rory being the best player in the world, some other people saying Bryson's number 2 or 1A, and Scotty's going, wait a minute. Well, I've been the best guy for 3 years. I cut my hand. I got off to a bit of a slow start, but this is what I'm healthy now and sharp, and this is what I'm capable of. And I'm 2 shots better than the average PGA Tour player per round, and and this is what it looks like. And I thought his round Thursday at the PGA was just phenomenal. I watched most of it. He didn't know where his driver was going. He was not sharp with his irons, and he found a way on a pretty tough day to shoot a couple under par, and easily could have shot 2 or 3 over, and kept himself in the golf tournament. And then, of course, figured it out. And that stretch he had late Saturday was brilliant. Play those, and that's just what his ability. He's just a gamer, and much like Bryson, he has a pretty solid life, away from golf as well, and pretty singularly focused on being number one, and he is number one. It's not even. Last week's another great example. He shoots an over par round, which has been rare as a snowflake in June in North Carolina, and he comes right back and shoots 7 under the next day and finishes 4th, with a solid round on Sunday.
He just ran out of gas. I think he just ran out of gas this past weekend. That's
sure.
All I really think. He just ran out of gas. All right, final few minutes of the show. The great Brian Mull with us here. We got the Memorial, Jack's Place this week. Let's talk the field. Let's talk maybe if you're going to place some units down. What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, let's briefly. Rory McIlroy made a call to Jack Nicklaus before the Masters, and they went through how Jack played every hole on the golf course, and Rory apparently listened and took copious notes. But now that Jack's tournament rolled around, Jack's a little miffed that Rory couldn't even call him and tell him he wasn't going to play. He said he understands why he wouldn't want to play, but a phone call would have. I like Victor Hovland this week to top 5 and even to win. Victor's been pretty hard on himself. He's been pretty inconsistent, although he did win earlier this year. But he sounded great in his press conference earlier this week. This is a guy that was the number 1 player in the world, in my opinion, going into the Ryder Cup 2023. Won the FedEx Cup. He's won at Memorial. And, he's the 6th or 7th favorite. I think he's a little underpriced in general. I like Hideki Matsuyama, another guy who's won here twice. Little value I see there. And Shane Lowry to place as well. Lowry's ball striking remains incredible. I know he had the meltdown there in Philadelphia, 3 bogeys in the last 4 to kind of squander that event. But I would certainly expect Shane Lowry to finish in the top 10. And let's not forget Andrew Novak, his buddy, his partner at Zurich wins last week, and Novak's right there on the cusp of the Ryder Cup team as well. And I know those two would not only like to make the team, but be paired together in some matches up there at Bethpage in September. And Novak is 70-1, 75-1 to win outright. And that means he's underpriced in all the placement markets as well, the way he's been striking the golf ball all season. One other kind of long shot is Akshay Bhatia. He has the right kind of skill set to thrive here at this golf course also.
You know, this is one of the more entertaining ones for sure. And then you got the RBC Canadian Open. Then we go to Oakmont for the U.S. Open. So, I mean, we're in a stretch of some really good tournaments the next 3 weeks. Then you got the Travelers up in Connecticut, which that always draws a huge crowd. People that you talk about a place that gets a little rowdy. I know we like to say Phoenix does Super Bowl weekend, and it does. But those Cromwellians, they get fired up for that event. That has become one of my favorite sneaky events in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's a good event. Travelers has been a loyal supporter of the PGA Tour, and they've been rewarded with elevated events. I don't know that it's an elevated event this year, but regardless, as you said, they've done a great job attracting a strong field, considering they're in that slot after the U.S. Open when a lot of guys could use a mental break. It's a fun course there because they go there and they make some birdies and kind of light it up, and you just got to keep the foot on the pedal. Nice stretch here, and this new condensed major schedule, and we're 6-7 weeks away from being done with major championship golf, so you better lock in.
Crazy.
It'll be over before you know it.
Hey, Brian, thanks for the tips. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
The great Brian Mull with us. Thanks to him. Thanks to the birthday boy, Ronald Vincent, the legendary RV. Thanks, Bill. Back tomorrow, we'll talk to Conley softball coach Wayne Deans. Hope to link up with Mully as he's on his way to Myrtle Beach. That'll be the PJ Show tomorrow. In the morning, we'll see you on Talk of the Town. Great rest of your evening, everybody.